Hey Dragon Nation, how's it going? Coming back to you today with another best in slot guide for patch 9.1. This time coming at you with the Havoc Demon Hunter build. This class has been absolutely popping off in raids, and I thought it was time I made a little guide on how to get the damage that you should get if you want to be parsing orange. Alright, starting off, we have, obviously, our Domination Socket pieces. Now, I wanted to put these all together just so you could see all the slots it takes up. It's obviously going to come from the helm, the shoulder, chest, hands, and the boots, as you can see over here. And they each come from different bosses spread throughout the raid, so that's something to keep in mind. But to start off, you're going to get your hands over here from Eye of the Jailer. You're going to get your boots from Guardian of the First Ones. You're going to get your head piece from Remnant of Ner'zhul. You're going to get the shoulders from Kel'Thuzad, which is later in the raid, and then also the chest is coming from Sylvanas Windrunner. So the last two pieces, both coming from the final two bosses, so those are going to be a little bit trickier to farm, as it's not as accessible for everyone to get those for Heroic and Mythic on farm right now. However, the rest of these, almost everything has a second piece that drops somewhere else in the raid, so mix and match what you want. These are just the absolute best in slot pieces of Domination gear you can get. So, you know, we're obviously trying to prioritize haste and versatility where we can. That's why all these pieces have haste first. Haste, you know, this one has crit, but the other one was worse. Crit here, a little bit of mastery. Mastery is terrible for us, but you get the picture, right? Anyways, let's move on to what should you be putting in these Domination Sockets. And let me tell you, it is not this. It is not this. I mean, you will put these shards in, but it is not these sets. It is this set right here, the Chaos Bane set. This thing gives you so much agility on, like, almost no cooldown. There's no global cooldown, like, at all between, you know, getting your full Chaos Bane proc off and like, ramping it up again. So you're just always sitting with an extra average of like 200 agility, 300 agility, just at all times. Just this set is so broken right now. If they had to nerf it by 50% on a hotfix, which they later reverted, it is not nerfed. They have officially announced that they will not be nerfing them, but still, it was absolutely insane how broken these things came out. Unfortunately, the Blood set and the Frost set are not nearly as strong yet. However, Blizzard has announced that they will be buffing both of those sets on the next patch, come the patch after the 30th of July. So, or I'm sorry, not the patch, the week. So on the weekly reset, they'll be buffing them. So they should be competitive then. However, even with the buffs, it's still looking like Chaos Bane will be absolutely insanely above the others in terms of damage. But, you know, the Frost Shard set gives you, you know, a shield, gives you some damage, it gives you, you know, it stores up crits, so it's not bad. And the blood thing heals you, but we want damage, so we're going to be going with the Chaos Bane every time. In addition to the Chaos Bane set itself, we want the Shard of Core, which increases our damage by 3% for 20 seconds after hitting an enemy that you have not currently attacked, or have not attacked yet, which is really, really solid. And then the Shard of Beck, your damage is increased by 2% when you have 50% or more health than your target. So the way that works, it's percentage-wise. So if you have 70% and the enemy has 20%, then you start getting the buff. If you're at full health and the enemy hits 50%, that's when you start getting the bonus damage. It's not based on like a flat number. It's based on just the percentage. So it's going to be on for the later half of every fight. That makes these the best, you know, best 5 pieces, all 3 Chaos pieces, and then the Shard of Core and Shard of Beck. Anyways, let's move on to Trinkets. Obviously, the Salvage Fusion Amplifier has been making its rounds. People have been getting to know this item. It is absolutely nutty. So much damage. On a minute 30-second cooldown, you're just constantly proccing these arcane damage procs for an insane amount of, you know, time. And it just adds up so quickly. It's so good. And in combination with all of your other on-hit stuff that you're getting from gear, which I will go over in the next couple slides, you'll see. This just synergizes so well with every other proc you have. In addition to that, we have the File of Putrefaction, which every 5 seconds, this was out last patch of course, comes from Plaguefall, but every 5 seconds, your next melee ability applies a 30-second dot damage over time ability, which stacks up 3 times. It does not refresh the cooldown, but it does stack, and it makes it a lot of damage over time. And it's completely passive, which is really, really nice. And I forgot to mention the Salvage Fusion Amplifier obviously drops from Guardian of the First Ones at eye level 252 at the highest, 226 from normal, 239 heroic, 252 in mythic. And the File of Putrefaction, you can get it if you do an Imp plus 15 dungeon, you can get it at 236. And then you can upgrade it with Valor to 246. And if you get it out of the Great Vault, it comes at eye level 252 if you completed a 15 and it came from your 15 slot. Anyways, moving on to our weapons, we have the Cruciform Vein Ripper. This drops from Painsmith. Drops at eye level 252 from Mythic, 226, 239 from normal heroic. And it has a passive effect that gives bonus bleed damage when you are behind an enemy or an enemy is crowd controlled. Which means, you know, they have to lose, like, loss of control of their character, or they have to be slowed, or something like that, feared maybe. But you don't have to do that if you're behind them. If you're behind them, you still get the bonus bleed effect, which makes it really good for raid bosses. However, this weapon has no secondary stats, as you'll notice. It only gives agility and stamina, which means it is not as good in AoE unless you can get it to stack on AoE. It's not clear. There are probably better weapons. In fact, in an AoE situation, I would almost guarantee that Poxstorm is going to be your better option. But for raiding, Cruciform Vein Ripper is your go-to. And I think I said this, it drops from Painsmith, 252, no secondary stats. But Poxform drops from Plaguefall. Same thing as before, the 236 drop from N plus 15 dungeons. You can upgrade it through Valor to 246. And then also you can get it from your Great Vault at level 252 if you completed level 15 dungeons. And this one has a passive effect that has a high chance to apply a dot to nearby enemies. Just randomly. So you don't have to be hitting them, they just have to be nearby. Which makes this a little bit better for M+, where you have multiple targets. It can kind of apply this to everyone. But I think both are good. And also, more importantly for M+, you get secondary stats, which increases your AoE abilities. That's what really puts this one apart from Cruciform Vein Ripper. If you can get your hands on both, definitely recommend that. Anyways, moving on to our back piece, there's a note about this one. So, self-replicating tissue is our best in slot cape, except we need to be using a legendary in this slot because it is the only slot where we can put Burning Wound on that does not have a Domination Socket. Therefore, if you have self-replicating tissue, you can use it, but I would recommend putting your legendary in this slot on your back. So, for that reason, I would go with the Burning Wound cape for your legendary. Moving on to rings, we have Stitch Flesh's Misplaced Signet, which is a ring that drops from Necrotic Wake. Once again, same thing with the Valor upgrades, drops at 236, you can upgrade to 246, and you can get it from 252 from the Great Vault. And the Tarnished Insignia of Kel'Thuzad Lost, this one drops from Sylvanas Windrunner at eye level 259. And guys, please ignore these eye levels on these pictures. Wowhead just didn't have the correct eye levels for almost any item, which is kind of crazy to me. But they're very similar. It's one eye level higher, so maybe like 1 or 2 secondary stats extra, maybe 3 at max. So just keep that in mind. And this is 252. Anyways, let's move on to the neck. This drops from Kel'Thuzad at eye level 259 from Mythic, 233, 246 from normal heroic. Gives crit haste. Haste is our best stat. Crit is not our best. We want haste verse, excuse me. Haste verse is the best stats for us, but crit is not far behind at all. Anything but mastery really is good for us. Waste, Windrunner's Baldric. This is another one that drops from Sylvanas Windrunner, eye level 259, and this gives haste verse, which are both our best stats. Legs, Kel'Thuzad, 259 from Mythic, I forget what I said, 233, 246 for normal heroic. And these give crit verse, both really good stats for us. Our wrists, Fate Scribe Rokalo, eye level 252. Fate Scribe is the one who drops this. Gives us haste verse, pretty simple, nothing too great, and that is the end. That's all I kind of had for you. But yeah, if we go back here, this is what we're working with. These are our best in slot items, and our best in slot domination shards. So, if you guys have any differing opinions, if you prefer something else, please let me know in the comments. I really would love to hear y'all's feedback and opinion on this, and how close are you to getting the full set? Let me know. Anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Peace out.